We made some modifications to the sewer program for this latest 2004 maintenance release. The changes that we've made will affect the database. So if you load a project into this version and save it off, you won't be able to go back to the earlier versions. There has been a database change. Okay, now what we've done is made allocation to locate, or at least show in profile, the elevations of the house connections or the services. So previously we've been able to draw the services in plan, but we really didn't show them in profile. Now we'll be able to show them in profile. The second thing we did was actually take a look at the geometry and the elevations of the service connections or the house connections, where they physically start inside the lots, and then calculate back to the main based on the geometry, and draw a graphic in the profile, so that you can see that given the layout of your house connections, whether they'll actually get into the main or not. So there's two things. One is plans production, one is design based. Let's take a look at the design based one to start with, and I'll go to my profiles, sewer, edit list, and I'll grab sewer 1, which is the one we can see in front of us here. Basically I don't have any house connections in, so I might go and put some utilities in to start with. Service locator, let's go and ID the main, here it is there, double residential. I'm going to go and place 3 in, so I might place 1 there, and you can do as many of these as you like, obviously, but I'm just going to do a 3 for the purposes of explaining what we've actually modified. So I've got 3 double services in there. Now the geometry for that service comes from the library. Okay, so if I go to services, sewer double, there's a service height, that height there of 2 units. There's a slope on the service of 1%, and these are user definable, and there's a minimum cover of 2. Okay, so let me just push this out of the way for a moment. If we come into the sewer, we have this option now added called services. Now, service location based on cover is the design mode. So now that I've added the services in, if I click apply, it goes and draws in these red graphics based on the symbology I have set there and the word that I've got, text I've written in there, which is cover. And what it's actually done is gone in plan, found where the house connections or the services start, got the elevation of the design surface at those locations, then dropped down the minimum cover of 2, then dropped down another 2 for the service height, and then followed along whatever length that is back to the main at 1%, and then drawn that in, and that calculation back is to the obvert, alright, and then the diameter shown there. So that, given the elevations of the finished surface, that's what height, or that's the location that the service would be at the main given the service geometry. And so we can see from that the main is too shallow just based on the original design parameter. So we need to come into this profile and lower the main. Okay, now the second thing we've done with regards to design is added the option to have lot control. Now basically designers will realise that certain lots have more control over the elevation of your sewer main than others. Basically they're low lots, or they have like a ditch through them, or for whatever reason, they maybe have a long run, whatever reason they control the sewer design. So we're now going to take the option, or we can allow you to place in the critical paths, and then we'll read the critical path and calculate what elevation the service would be when it hits the main, and the user then has the option to lower this main or to make the main fit the services. The way we check for the critical path is we've added an option to the sewer lines in the preferences, search symbology, so you can set a level, weight, colour. I created an SEW critical path level for the sewer critical paths. Vertical offset, so at the start of the critical path, get the elevation at the design surface and drop down by half a unit, 0.5, then follow along at 2.5 until you hit the house connection, the start of the house connection, and then use the house connection geometry to follow back to the main. Okay, so let's just put one in here. This critical connection has to be a single element. It can be a line or a line string, but it has to be one element only. You know, it won't take line, line, line. Okay, so I'll place that guy in there. Click OK. Come back to here and grids and labels, click apply, and we can see now that this second service intersection with the main, or the service at the main, has dropped considerably. Okay, so the next step would be say, well, yes, I want to take into consideration this. So you come into your pipes. Maybe I'm going to hold the slope. Maybe I'm not, but maybe I'm going to hold the slope. I'll come in here. I'll lower the main. Okay, and click apply, and that's going to redraw the main all downstream. From there downstream. Okay, now I know that that service can physically get into the manhole. What I want to see now is not so much that design information, but is information based on, again, this service height and the slope, what elevation the actual connections will be in the lots, so that when the plumber comes along and wants to connect into them, he knows in plan where to find them. He also knows what elevation to look for. So let's click apply to that, and what it does is draws each of these connections into our profile and annotates the elevation and or the diameter and or the D&C manager description. So the elevation you see is the service starting at the obvert of the main, so the intersection of the obvert or the soffit of the main and the service, following back up the service at the minimum slope plus the service height, and that's the elevation that's given there in the profile.